Hey guys, Dr. Shook here, and this is another sauna session. In this video today, what I'd like to talk to you about are living versus dead foods and your Hashimoto's or autoimmunity, okay? So the real thing that I want to convey here is that there's a difference in the food that you eat if it is a living food, that is, for example, a fruit or a vegetable that's grown in a garden that you pick and you eat it within a short period of time from when it's picked, then between a food that has been sitting for weeks, that's been off the vine for weeks, and more importantly, different than foods that have been processed. For example, like let's use flour, for example, since everyone is aware of many of the potential problems with gluten, and it's in the media so much. Let's use gluten, which let's talk about wheat flour and how it is major a food product. It's a food-like product. It's not food. It's a food-like product. A lot of things that we eat today are food-like products, and these things are usually highly processed. When they process them, what they do is the food is killed, for one thing. Okay, so let's keep this in mind. When you pick a fruit or vegetable from the vine, it is living. It literally has enzymes and all these things in the food that make it much better for you, and it makes it easier to digest, because enzymes are these things that they're in your body, but they're in foods, and what they do is they help you to they're like the spark for a chemical reaction to occur, right? You got to have the enzyme for a reaction to happen, and in our bodies we think of digestive enzymes and their need to properly break down foods so we can absorb them. And so that those foods can, if you're autoimmune and you have leaky gut, so that those foods will be less antigenic or less potentially stimulatory to the immune system, which can promote our autoimmunity. So these enzymes in these living foods are incredibly powerful. So, when you take a food or a plant and you let it sit for days or weeks, the enzymes start to die and the food starts to die. And when you eat a food that is, once you pick it, it immediately begins the process of decay or death, right? It's dying, or it's through a process of breakdown. So it's rotting, right? So the thing is you want to start, you want to consume the foods that are living. Okay, it's so, sometimes you think about these things, and when I think about all the problems that I see with people having, there's a concept that just comes to mind. The further that we get from our environment, right? The further that we get with how we're supposed to interact and live within this earth, the more the sicker and the more sick that we become, and the more problems that we see, and the more unexplainable disease processes that pop up. Well, that's because I think we're not living in congruence with our environment, and we're eating like these dead foods, for example. So, I'm a big advocate of eating real food. Number one. Try to buy food locally if you can from like a farmer's market. Raise your own food in your garden. Buy organic foods that aren't covered in pesticides and herbicides. That's what your body's designed to work with, not these food-like products that are dead, devoid. They're void of these enzymes. There's no enzymes. There's nothing in there to help you catalyze these chemical reactions that you need in a lot of cases to break the food down. You're eating dead food. You're eating stuff that's not really, it's a man-made food product. Think about it for a minute. Consider that. And just on a conceptual level, I don't have to argue about the details of it, but just conceptually, like why do you eat what you eat? What are you doing? Consider why you do what you do, right? Think about it from why am I eating this? What is this? Is this really food? Thousands of years ago, would this have been food? And does it come from the earth, right? Does it come from the earth, and is it in its form that it comes from the earth, right? So anyway, it's really important to consider this. And I think some of the things, just even you consider stuff like milk, right? Well, once you pasteurize milk and you process it, you kill a lot of the enzymes in the milk. So those enzymes could help you break down and make the milk more digestible and absorbable, right? If you're going to consume dairy. And when you pasteurize it, yeah, you kill bacteria, and you can make a difference in keeping people from getting sick from the milk. But you look at it, it's another form of processing. All this stuff that we do, you just got to really contemplate, is this the right thing that I should be doing with my body? Should I be living more in, with this earth in more congruency with my environment? Am I doing stuff that's a man-made or a man, an idea? Am I doing things that was just conceived by man? Because I'll tell you what, we come up with a lot of great ideas. We have this incredible ability to think and change our environment and create things unlike any other creatures, right, on this planet. But yet, those aren't always in our best interest, right? Sometimes I think we would be better off if we were more instinctual, right? If we lived more in congruence with our environment and with nature. But we come up with all these fantastic things, right? Like I'm sitting in a sauna, right? With these electric infrared panels, with electricity coursing through the wires. I've got all this stuff around me. Like, is it really healthy? I mean, is it? Even I contemplate the things that I think, right? But on a most basic, fundamental level, stuff like foods, right? I mean, that's a very, very foundational part of our life. So I think you should be eating whole foods, real foods, living foods, not dead foods, not processed foods, not foods covered in pesticides, not foods covered in herbicides. You need to be consuming real food. And feeding your body what it was intended to live upon, okay? And I think just conceptually, that's a really important message that I want to share with you guys that can help you to improve numerous aspects of your health, okay? So most people that I see are dealing with thyroid issues, they're dealing with autoimmunity, they're dealing with Hashimoto's. And if you have thyroid problems, let me share with you guys something. You need to understand what's going on with your laboratory markers, right? People ask me all the time, like, where do I start? I mean, we get questions all the time, like, what do we do? Well, what I would suggest you do is have a more thorough investigation of your overall body chemistry. And I would start with understanding your thyroid markers. I put together a guidebook called The 9 Labs Required to Understand Your Thyroid. And it is a guidebook that you can go to our website. If you want to know about it, just ask us, post in the comments, hey, I'd like a link to the guidebook. We will post a link to the guidebook. You can go and you can check out the guidebook and see if you want to get it. The guidebook will tell you the 9 tests required to understand your thyroid, and it covers numerous thyroid-related hormones, okay, that most doctors do not check. And it also talks about the antibodies, right, to see if you have an autoimmune condition and what those numbers can mean. So it gives you an idea of interpretation so that you can have an idea of where your thyroid physiology is breaking down, if it is, right? There are a lot of different problems that could be happening, but that's a good place to start. And if you want to know more about testing and like how to get to the root of your problem and how to investigate it, but starting with changing your diet and eating healthy is a great place. So I hope this has been helpful, and I appreciate you guys coming here to learn more about your health. If there's anything that we can do for you, just let us know. If you have any questions or comments, post them below and we will do our best to get back to you. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.